Ethan groaned as he pushed himself up from the rocky ground, his body sore from the crash. The small shuttle he had been piloting had been torn apart by a sudden meteor storm, leaving him stranded on a planet unlike any he had ever seen. The sky was a deep shade of green, streaked with glowing auroras that danced above jagged mountains. Strange plants with luminous leaves glowed faintly in the dim light, and small creatures with delicate wings zipped between the trees. Ethan stumbled through the thick underbrush, scanning for anything familiar, but nothing looked even remotely like home. He carried a small survival pack, its contents limited after the crash, and he knew he had to find shelter before night fell. The temperature was dropping fast, and he could feel the chill creeping into his bones. After hours of wandering, he noticed faint lights in the distance. They pulsed softly, almost like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Curious and desperate, he made his way toward them, brushing aside glowing vines and leaping over root-covered paths. Soon he found himself at the edge of a city unlike any human city he had ever seen. Towers made of transparent crystal rose high into the sky, their surfaces reflecting the aurora above. Bridges made of light connected the towers, and delicate structures floated effortlessly above the ground. Ethan stopped in awe. He had no idea who or what lived here. He stepped cautiously onto a crystal pathway, careful not to make any noise. Suddenly he heard movement ahead. Figures appeared, tall and slender with glowing markings on their skin. They wore uniforms that shimmered in the light, and their eyes were wide, filled with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Before Ethan could react, a figure stepped out from the group. She was taller than the others, her skin glowing faintly, and her long hair shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes were large and deep, and they seemed to see right through him. She moved with grace, her steps silent, and yet she radiated authority. Ethan froze. He had expected hostility, but she did not look angry. Instead, she tilted her head, studying him closely. Then, without a word, she walked toward him and sat on the edge of a floating platform beside him. "My people say you're mine now," she murmured, her voice soft and musical. Ethan blinked, unsure if he had heard her correctly. You... What?" he stammered. The princess smiled faintly. "It is a tradition. When a human arrives under certain circumstances, my people believe he is meant to help us. They say you are part of our destiny now." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "I don't even know your language, and I barely understand your world. How could I help anyone here?" She chuckled, a sound like wind chimes. "You do not need to understand everything now. You will see. You have a courage and a mind that my people have not seen in centuries." Ethan wanted to protest, but before he could, one of the guards approached, bowing slightly. "Princess Lyra," the guard said in a melodic tone. "He is injured. Shall we bring him to the healers?" Lyra waved her hand, and the guard stepped back. "No, he will rest here for now. I will speak with him." Ethan hesitated, but realized he had no choice. The princess's presence was calm, reassuring, and strangely comforting. He nodded and sat down beside her, careful not to step off the floating platform. "Where are you from?" she asked after a moment, her tone gentle. Ethan sighed. "I'm from Earth. Far away from here. I wasn't expecting to come to your planet at all. My ship, it was destroyed in a meteor storm." Lyra listened silently, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "Your arrival was foretold," she said softly. "It is not a mistake. There is a challenge that my people face, one we cannot solve alone. You have arrived at the right time." Ethan shook his head. "I'm just one person. I don't know your customs, I don't know your technology. I can't be of much help." "You underestimate yourself," Lyra said. "Humans are clever. You have a strength that goes beyond your body. My people need that strength." Before Ethan could respond, another figure appeared from the shadows, a smaller creature with a delicate frame, carrying a glowing device. The alien paused, noticing Ethan, and then bowed politely. Lyra gestured for the creature to come closer. "This is my assistant, Kira," Lyra said. "She will help you understand what you need to know. There is much to learn, and time is short." Kira approached Ethan, her eyes curious but kind. She handed him a small device which emitted a soft blue light. When Ethan held it, words and symbols appeared on the screen in a language he could understand. "This will translate for you," Kira explained. "It will not teach you everything, but it will help you communicate." Ethan nodded, grateful for the small help. "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse. Lyra watched him carefully. "Rest now. Soon you must see our world. Soon you must see why your presence matters." Ethan leaned back exhausted and let the gentle hum of the city soothe him. He looked at Lyra, her calm and confident demeanor, and wondered how one person could hold so much responsibility. She seemed so young yet so wise, and there was a quiet strength in the way she carried herself. As the sky darkened, the city lights glowed brighter, reflecting off the crystal towers. Ethan felt a strange sense of hope. Despite being far from home in a world he barely understood, he did not feel entirely alone. The princess had chosen to trust him, and for the first time since the crash he believed that maybe he could survive, and maybe even make a difference. Lyra shifted slightly, sitting closer. "I will tell you stories of my people soon," she said. "Stories of our history, our struggles, our hopes. You will learn what it means to be part of something larger than yourself." Ethan nodded, unsure how to respond. He had spent most of his life following orders, completing missions, and surviving dangers. But nothing had prepared him for this, a world so different. A princess who spoke of destiny and the feeling that he was no longer just a human stranded on an alien planet. "Sleep now," Lyra whispered. "Tomorrow you will see more. Tomorrow you will begin to understand why my people say you are ours." Ethan closed his eyes, letting the gentle glow of the city and the presence of the princess lull him into a deep, dreamless sleep. In his mind, images of floating towers, glowing forests, and alien skies mingled with memories of Earth. He wondered what the future held, but for the first time in days, he felt a spark of courage and hope. As he slept, Lyra watched him closely, her thoughts on the prophecy, the coming challenges, and the human who had arrived under impossible circumstances. She did not yet know if he would succeed, but she sensed something rare in him, a mix of bravery, cleverness, and heart that could change the fate of her people. The night passed quietly, the glowing city casting soft light over the forest, and the stars above twinkled in patterns unfamiliar to human eyes. Tomorrow would bring challenges, discoveries and dangers, but for now, a fragile trust had been formed between a human and an alien princess. And as Ethan slept, the words of the princess echoed softly in his mind. "My people say you're mine now." For the first time, those words did not feel like a command. They felt like a promise of adventure, responsibility, and perhaps a bond that could span worlds. Ethan awoke to the soft glow of the crystal city, filtering through the transparent walls of the chamber where Lyra had placed him. The morning light painted the floating towers in shades of gold and green, and strange, delicate birds with translucent wings darted through the open spaces. The city felt alive, breathing with energy he could almost feel in his chest. Lyra was already awake, seated nearby on the edge of a floating platform. She looked at him with calm curiosity, her silver hair shimmering in the morning light. "Good morning," she said. "Today you will see more of my world." Ethan rubbed his eyes. "I'm still trying to understand all of this. Your city. It's incredible." Lyra smiled faintly. "It is, but beauty alone does not keep a people safe. There are challenges, even here." She led him out of the chamber and onto a pathway that floated in the air, supported by glowing energy. As they walked, Ethan noticed the subtle ways the citizens moved through the city. Some glided on platforms of light, while others communicated with devices that projected holograms into the air. The alien architecture seemed impossible, yet every movement felt natural, as if the city itself guided them. "This is the heart of our city," Lyra explained. "Every structure, every light, every bridge has a purpose. My people live in harmony with it and with each other. But balance is fragile. That is why you have come." Ethan glanced at her, unsure how a single human could influence an entire civilization. "I still don't understand. Why me? What can I do that your people cannot?" Lyra's eyes softened. "Humans think differently. You see solutions in ways we cannot. You act with courage even when the outcome is uncertain. That is why the prophecy speaks of your arrival." They reached a large plaza where a crowd had gathered. Ethan noticed that while some aliens observed him with curiosity, others seemed wary, their glowing markings dimmed slightly in disapproval. Lyra approached the center of the plaza and raised her hand, signaling for attention. "People of the city," she began, her voice clear and commanding. "This human has arrived under circumstances we did not expect. He is here to help us. He has courage and wisdom, qualities we value greatly. I ask that you give him your trust." There was a murmur among the crowd. Some nodded respectfully, while others exchanged uncertain glances. Ethan felt the weight of their scrutiny, but he also felt a spark of determination. He would not let Lyra or her people down. Lyra noticed his hesitation. "Come," she said, leading him through a series of floating corridors that spiraled upward toward a massive tower. "I want to show you something important." At the top, they entered a room filled with holographic displays. Ethan's eyes widened. The room was a command center, showing maps of the planet, energy flows, and the movements of cities and villages across vast regions. "This is incredible," he said. "Your technology, it's far beyond anything I've seen." Lyra nodded. "We have lived here for many centuries. Our knowledge is vast, but we are not without problems. The northern sector of the planet suffers from energy instability. Our engineers have tried to stabilize it, but they have failed. I believe your perspective may help." Ethan leaned closer to study the holograms. "Maybe if we adjust the energy channels here and here. Yes, if we redirect some of the excess power, it could stabilize the network." He pointed to areas on the map, explaining his reasoning. Lyra watched him closely, impressed. "You see patterns we missed. Your human thinking is unusual yet effective. If you are right, you could save that sector from collapse." Ethan felt a rush of pride, tempered by the weight of responsibility. "I'll do my best, but I'll need access to the controls and some guidance from your engineers." Lyra smiled. "Of course. Kira will assist you. She is skilled and patient." Kira appeared at that moment, bowing slightly. "I will help you, Ethan," she said. "Together we can stabilize the northern sector." Over the next several hours, Ethan worked with Kira and a team of engineers. He studied the alien systems, asked questions, and suggested adjustments based on his knowledge of energy flow and logic. The engineers were initially skeptical, but as Ethan demonstrated his ideas, they began to trust his judgment. Slowly, the northern sector stabilized, the energy readings returning to normal. Lyra observed from a distance, a faint smile on her face. "You see, Ethan," she said, approaching him once the work was complete. "Even small actions can have a great impact. You have already made a difference." Ethan wiped his brow, exhausted but satisfied. "I never thought I could help a civilization like yours, but I thought it feels good to know I did." Lyra's eyes softened. "You have the heart of a protector. That is why my people see you as part of us. It is not just your mind. It is your courage, your compassion, your willingness to act when others hesitate." Ethan felt a warmth he could not explain. He had always believed that being human meant being fragile, limited, and sometimes powerless. Yet here he felt strong, capable, and, most unexpectedly, accepted. As they walked back through the city, Lyra began to share stories of her people. She told Ethan about their history, the wars fought long ago, the alliances broken and remade, and the leaders who had tried and failed to maintain peace. She spoke of the prophecy, of a human who would arrive in their time of need, and of the hope that one person could make a lasting difference. Ethan listened intently. Fascinated by her world and the depth of her people's culture, he realized that the alien princess sitting beside him was not just a figure of authority. She was also a guardian, a guide, and someone who carried the weight of her civilization on her shoulders. As evening approached, they reached a quiet garden suspended in midair, filled with glowing flowers and small streams of crystal-clear water. Lyra sat on a stone bench and gestured for Ethan to join her. "Rest here for a moment," she said. "The city never truly sleeps, but sometimes it is important to pause, to reflect." Ethan sat beside her, watching the light shift across the floating gardens. "Your world? It's beautiful. And your people? They're remarkable. I've never seen anything like this," Lyra smiled faintly. "And yet even here there are dangers, misunderstandings, and challenges. That is why humans like you are important. You remind us that courage and creativity are not limited to one species." Ethan nodded, feeling a growing bond with the princess and her people. "I want to help," he said simply. "I don't know how much I can do, but I'll try." Lyra looked at him, her gaze filled with a mixture of admiration and hope. "That is all we ask. One step at a time, one choice at a time. Together we can face what is coming." As the night fell, the city glowed like a constellation on the ground, and Ethan felt a sense of wonder and belonging. For the first time since the crash, he realized that being human did not mean being weak. It meant having the courage to act, the mind to solve problems, and the heart to connect with others no matter how different they were. Lyra stood, brushing her silver hair behind her shoulders. It is time to rest. Tomorrow you will meet the leaders of the city. They may be skeptical, but I trust you, and soon you will begin to understand why my people say you are ours. Ethan followed her to a small chamber prepared for him, where soft lights and gentle energy flows made sleep easier. He lay down, thinking about the day's events, the trust Lyra had shown him and the challenges yet to come. As he drifted into sleep, he felt a quiet determination. He would rise to the expectations of this alien world. He would use his courage, his mind, and his heart to help Lyra and her people. And perhaps in the process he would discover a new purpose, a reason to be more than just a human lost among the stars. Outside the chamber, Lyra watched over him, her thoughts on the journey ahead. The road would not be easy and many would doubt his worth, but she knew something rare when she saw it. A human who could inspire hope, who could act with bravery, and who could change the fate of her people. The night passed quietly, and the city continued to hum with life. Floating platforms drifted silently through the air. Lights flickered across the crystal towers, and somewhere in the distance, the streams of energy pulsed in perfect harmony. Ethan was no longer just a visitor. He was a participant, a partner, and a spark of hope for a civilization that had waited centuries for his arrival. And as he slept, the words Lyra had whispered that first day echoed softly in his mind once again. My people say you're mine now. This time, they felt less like a command and more like a promise of trust, of purpose, and of a connection that could span worlds. Ethan awoke to the soft hum of the city. The floating towers glimmered in the morning light, and the crystal pathways reflected the colors of the sky above. Today would be different, he could feel it. Lyra had told him that he would meet the leaders of the city, and he sensed that not all of them would welcome a human with open arms. Lyra met him outside his chamber, her silver hair glowing faintly. Today is important, she said. The council is wary. They will test you, question you, and challenge you. You must show them what humans can do, not just with strength, but with courage, intelligence, and honesty. Ethan nodded. I understand. I'll do my best. Lyra led him through the floating corridors to a grand hall, larger than any room he had ever seen. Crystal pillars stretched high into the sky, and streams of energy flowed along the walls like living rivers. At the center of the hall stood the council, a group of tall, elegant aliens with glowing markings and eyes that seemed to pierce into his soul. Princess Lyra, the eldest council member said, his voice deep and resonant. You bring a human to stand among us. Do you trust this one blindly? Lyra stepped forward. I do not bring him to challenge your judgment, but to show that he is capable. Ethan is resourceful, brave, and has already contributed to our city's well-being. I ask that you judge him fairly, not with fear, but with reason. Ethan swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. He had never faced anything like this. On Earth, he had been a soldier, a student, an explorer, but never someone who carried the expectations of an entire civilization. The council member studied him closely. We will test his worth, he said. He must prove that he can think, act, and lead when faced with danger. Only then will he be accepted. Lyra guided Ethan to a large platform outside the hall. Below them stretched the northern sector of the planet, the area that had experienced energy instability the day before. But now something had gone wrong. Ethan's heart sank as he saw the glowing energy lines flickering unstable once more. You must act quickly, Lyra said. The instability is spreading faster than predicted. This is your trial. Ethan took a deep breath. He remembered the adjustments he had suggested yesterday. We need to redirect the energy flow, he said. If we recalibrate these channels and synchronize the output, we can stabilize it. Kira appeared beside him, nodding. I will assist you. The council is watching. They will judge not only your success, but how you work with our people. Ethan worked quickly, using his human intuition and logic to direct the engineers. They adjusted the energy conduits, synchronized the power flows, and monitored the readings. At first, the system responded slowly, flickering dangerously. Ethan's hands moved swiftly across the controls, recalculating and rerouting energy with precise commands. One of the council members raised an eyebrow. He acts with confidence, but is it enough? Lyra's voice was calm. Watch closely. Sometimes courage and creativity matter more than experience. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted in the northern sector. Sparks flew along the conduits and a warning alarm echoed through the hall. The engineers froze, unsure what to do. Ethan's mind raced. He remembered a technique he had learned back on Earth, a way to redirect excess energy into a temporary storage unit until the system stabilized. "Divert it here," he shouted, pointing to a channel on the control board. The engineers hesitated for a moment, then followed his instructions. Energy flowed into the storage unit, the alarm silenced, and the system began to stabilize. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. "It's working," he said. "Keep monitoring. It should hold." The council members exchanged glances. The eldest member nodded slowly. "This human shows understanding, quick thinking, and bravery. He acts without fear, even when the outcome is uncertain. Perhaps Princess Lyra's trust is not misplaced." Lyra smiled faintly at Ethan. "You have done well, but your trial is not over. You must now face the second part." Ethan turned to her.
Second part?
"What do you mean?" "The northern sector is stable, but the energy surge caused structural damage. Some bridges are unstable and small citizens are trapped in areas that are now unsafe. You must help them evacuate." Ethan's stomach tightened. Rescue operations were not easy, especially in an alien city with floating platforms and energy streams flowing unpredictably. "I'll do my best," he said, determination settling in his chest. Lyra led him to the edge of a damaged bridge. Below, several small citizens were stranded, frightened and unable to move safely. Ethan assessed the situation. The bridge could collapse at any moment, and the energy fields nearby were erratic. He spotted a device nearby that could extend a temporary energy platform. "We can use this," he said, directing Kira to activate it. The platform expanded, forming a safe pathway to the stranded citizens. "Stay calm," Ethan called out to the aliens below. "Move carefully and follow the path." One by one, the citizens stepped onto the energy platform, guided by Ethan and Kira. He held their hands, steadied them as they crossed, and encouraged them with words he hoped they could understand. Despite the danger, he remained calm, his focus unshakable. The council watched silently, impressed by his courage and composure. Lyra's eyes reflected pride and relief. Ethan's human ability to stay calm under pressure, think logically, and lead effectively was something they had never witnessed before. Finally, all the citizens were safely across. The damaged bridge creaked and collapsed behind them, but no one was harmed. Ethan stepped back, his heart pounding from the exertion. The council leader spoke first, his deep voice echoing in the hall. "This human has shown courage, intelligence, and a willingness to act for the good of our people. He has proven that he is worthy of trust." Other council members nodded, their expressions shifting from skepticism to respect. One whispered to another, "Perhaps the prophecy is true." Lyra approached Ethan and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have done more than I imagined. Today you have shown that humans can inspire hope and action, even in ways we did not expect." Ethan smiled, exhausted but proud. "I didn't do it alone. Kira and your people helped me every step of the way." Lyra's gaze softened. "That is true, but it was your courage and quick thinking that led the way. My people see that now. You are no longer just a visitor, Ethan. You are part of us." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. For the first time, he understood that being human did not mean being weak. Humans had ingenuity, courage, and the ability to act with heart, qualities that could make a real difference, even among a civilization so advanced. As the day ended, Lyra led Ethan to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The floating platforms glowed softly, and the auroras in the sky reflected on the crystal towers. Ethan breathed in deeply, feeling a sense of accomplishment and connection. "You have passed the trial," Lyra said softly, "not just by stabilizing the energy or rescuing the citizens, but by showing who you are. My people see your heart, and that is more important than any skill or strength." Ethan looked at her, feeling a bond growing stronger with each passing moment. "I never expected to find a place where I could belong like this. But now I think I do," Lyra smiled faintly. "Belonging is earned through trust, courage, and action. You have done all of that, and more." As the night fell, the city shimmered in a gentle glow, casting reflections on the floating streams and crystal bridges. Ethan sat beside Lyra, feeling a calm determination. The challenges ahead would not be easy, but he now knew that humans could face them with courage, intelligence, and heart. The words Lyra had whispered on the first day echoed softly in his mind. "My people say you're mine now." This time, They carried a new meaning: trust, respect, and the promise of partnership across worlds. Ethan closed his eyes, thinking about the trials he had faced, the people he had helped, and the bond he was forming with Lyra. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he was ready. He was no longer just a human stranded on an alien planet. He was a part of something larger, a story of hope, courage, and connection that spanned worlds. And as he drifted into sleep, he felt a quiet certainty. The trials of the Council had only strengthened his resolve. He would continue to prove himself, not for recognition or reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Because being human meant using every ounce of courage and wisdom to make a difference, no matter the world he found himself in. The morning sun reflected off the crystal towers, casting rainbow patterns across the floating platforms. Ethan stood beside Lyra, overlooking the city he had helped protect. After the trials of the Council and the challenges of the northern sector, he felt more connected to this world than ever before. The city hummed with energy, alive and vibrant, and he could sense the cautious but growing trust of her people. Lyra turned to him, her silver hair catching the light. "Today you will meet more of our citizens. Some still doubt humans, but others are curious and hopeful. This is your chance to show them that courage and kindness are universal." Ethan nodded, determination in his chest. "I'm ready." They descended to the city plaza where citizens were gathering. Some of the younger aliens approached, their glowing eyes wide with curiosity. Ethan greeted them, smiling and using simple phrases that the translator device helped him communicate. Slowly the tension eased. Children laughed as he helped them adjust small floating toys, while adults watched thoughtfully, seeing a human who genuinely cared about their safety and well-being. One of the council members approached, observing silently. "You have handled your tasks well, human," he said. "But leadership is not just about action. It is also about understanding our people, our culture, and earning their respect. Are you ready for the final challenge?" Ethan straightened. "Yes. I want to understand and I want to help." Lyra guided him to the central tower where a holographic map displayed the entire planet. Red areas indicated instability or unrest, regions where citizens had lost faith in the Council due to past failures. "These areas need attention," Lyra explained. "Your human perspective could help us rebuild trust." Ethan studied the map carefully. "If we combine technology and communication, we can reach each sector efficiently, show them that we are listening, that we care. We can repair infrastructure and at the same time restore confidence." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. You understand what many overlook. Compassion and action together create stability, not just machines or orders." Ethan spent the next hours traveling with Lyra and Kira to each troubled sector. He listened to the concerns of the citizens, asked questions, and offered practical solutions. In one village, he helped repair energy conduits that powered homes. In another, he suggested a way to distribute clean water using the city's energy network more efficiently. Each solution combined human creativity with alien technology, producing results that amazed both the citizens and their leaders. At each stop, Ethan's calm demeanor, quick thinking, and genuine concern won over more hearts. Even skeptics began to see that humans were capable of understanding, contributing, and leading in ways they had never imagined. By mid-afternoon, word of his actions had reached the Council. Lyra brought him back to the central plaza, where all the citizens and council members had gathered. The eldest council member spoke, his deep voice echoing across the plaza. "Ethan," he began, "you have faced our challenges, aided our people, and shown courage, intelligence, and compassion. You have proven that the prophecy was not a tale, but a promise. Today we acknowledge you as one of us, an honorary protector of this city and its people." A wave of applause and glowing energy rippled through the plaza as citizens cheered. Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. He had never imagined such recognition, yet he knew it was earned through teamwork, courage, and respect, not through any magic or prophecy alone. Lyra stepped forward and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You are no longer just a visitor, Ethan. My people see you as a partner, a friend, and someone who embodies the values we hold dear." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "I've learned more than I ever imagined," he said. "Not just about your world, but about courage, responsibility, and the strength of people, no matter their form." Lyra's eyes reflected admiration. Humans are resilient, clever, and compassionate. Today you have shown all of that, and in doing so, you have built bridges not only between cities but between our worlds. The council leader nodded. Let this day be remembered. Let it remind us that trust, courage, and cooperation can overcome fear and doubt. As the celebration continued, Ethan took a quiet moment with Lyra on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The floating platform shimmered, reflecting the lights of the towers, and the auroras above mirrored the colors below. You have changed this world, Lyra said softly, not by force but by heart. Humans are fragile, yes, but you have shown that even fragility can be strength when guided by courage and wisdom. Ethan looked at her, feeling a deep connection. I never imagined I could matter so much. Yet here I've found purpose. I've found belonging. Lyra's gaze softened and she sat beside him. And that is why my people say you're ours. Not because of duty or obligation, but because you have earned trust, respect, and friendship. You are part of our story now. Ethan felt a sense of calm determination. He had faced trials, uncertainty, and skepticism, yet he had persevered. More importantly, he had learned that being human did not mean being weak. It meant having the courage to act, the mind to solve problems, and the heart to connect with others. As night fell, the city shimmered like a constellation on the ground. Ethan and Lyra remained on the balcony, watching the glowing platforms drift slowly in the evening light. The air was filled with a gentle hum, the heartbeat of a city alive with trust and hope. You've done more than any of us expected, Lyra said. Your courage and wisdom have reminded my people of something important, that trust and action are the foundation of civilization. Ethan nodded. I've learned that humans are not defined by size, strength, or even technology. We are defined by our choices, by what we do when faced with challenges. Lyra smiled faintly, and that is why you are part of us. Not by prophecy alone, but by action and heart. Ethan felt a quiet sense of purpose settle within him. He had arrived as a stranded human, unsure of his place in this alien world. Now he was seen, respected, and trusted. He had helped stabilize the city, guided its people, and forged bonds that would last for years to come. Tomorrow, we will continue the work, Lyra said. There are other regions to stabilize, other challenges to face. But tonight we celebrate what has been achieved. Ethan leaned back, taking in the glowing city and the soft hum of life. I couldn't have done it without you, he said, and without the trust of your people. You showed me that even one human can make a difference. Lyra's eyes reflected a mix of pride and warmth. And you have shown all of us that courage, wisdom, and heart can bridge worlds. You are not just a human here. You are a symbol of hope and connection. As the night deepened, Ethan reflected on his journey. He had faced uncertainty, danger, and doubt. He had navigated an alien world, solved complex problems, and earned the trust of a civilization far older and more advanced than his own. Yet in every challenge he had discovered a truth. Humans have the power to act, to lead, and to inspire no matter where they are. Lyra stood beside him, looking out over the city. You have a place here, she said softly. My people say you're ours, Ethan, and I agree. You have earned it not by prophecy alone, but by who you are. Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. I will stay not because I must, but because I want to. I want to help, to learn, and to be part of this world with you. Lyra's hand brushed lightly against his. Then you are truly ours, and we are yours. Together we can face anything. The city glowed beneath them, alive with light and energy, a testament to resilience, cooperation, and the courage of a human who dared to make a difference. For Ethan, the journey had not been easy, but it had been worth every challenge. He had found a new world, new friends, and a sense of purpose that transcended stars and planets. And as he stood beside Lyra, watching the city pulse with life, Ethan knew that he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of a story far larger than himself, a story of hope, courage, and the unbreakable bond between human and alien, bridging worlds and hearts alike. The words echoed softly in his mind, as they had from the first day. My people say you're mine now. And now they felt complete. A promise fulfilled, a connection earned, and a future bright with possibilities.